Hi guys, welcome back to Confessions of an Evolving Millennial. My name is Nancy, and on today's video we're going to talk about something that's been on my mind the whole week, and that is something to do with limiting beliefs. And I'll just start by saying that it's been something that's been on my mind. And then there's this one of my really good girlfriends, we happened to talk about it during the week. We had gone for like a hot girl walk and yapping, and we also had that conversation with her. And I actually remember, because it's something that's been on my mind so much, I knew I want to do a video around that for this week. And even like now after we had the conversation, I was like, I ask her if we can do that video together. I thought about it, like, because she's also very knowledgeable when it comes to that. And then I remember dismissing that voice within me and just being like, yeah, maybe she might not be interested or something like that. So I ended up just deciding, okay, I'll just do a video by myself around it. And guys, you'll never guess what. I was literally in the middle of like preparing for the video, and I was like jotting some notes down just before I record it. And then this babe sends me a voice note. And the voice note is literally about what I want to talk about, and something that she was learning, and like there's something she came across that was guiding her, and she wanted to share with me as well, so that I can also benefit from this, from what she was learning. And yay to friends who do not gatekeep, friends who find out something, and because it's been so beneficial to them, they're like, I have to share this with my friend, because they want to grow with you and evolve with you. So I was like, babe, just the beginning of me just listening to the voice note, I was like, babe, you'll never guess what. Like, that's literally what I'm like doing right now. Like, I'm preparing a video on that. And then I was like, and by the way, I had thought of asking you if we can do that video together, and then I just dismissed that voice. But like, clearly we need to do the video together, And I'm so glad that she was like, yes, we're gonna do it together. And then now after that, I started thinking, because now I was already preparing to do a video on that, like this video. I thought maybe I can try do a different video for that, and then we'll cover that with her in the next video. And I actually ended up making like a whole video. And today morning, as I was in the middle of like editing it, I just don't know, like there was just a voice within me that was like, yeah, you still need to talk about that topic. We could do it like in a different way from how we're going to tackle it with my friend. But then something within me was just like, that's what you are meant to talk about today. So still stick to that. And yeah, that's how I ended up still deciding to do a video on that, because I was like, maybe there's just one or two people that need to benefit from it, like in the now, and not 1 week later, you know what I mean? Yeah, so that's how I ended up still deciding to do this. But I'm really looking forward to making a video around the same topic with my friend. Hopefully that's going to be the video for next week. And I'm really excited about that. I'm really, really excited about that. I think we'll tackle it in a kind of like a different setting, because of course, limiting beliefs, like it's like in so many ways, So for me particularly, I want to talk about how toxic environments or toxic relationships can create limiting beliefs, and how we can be able to break free from that, from my own personal experience. I think with my friend, we also talk about it in the concept of money, success, I think also relationships in general. But this particular one is when it comes to toxic relationships, and that how that can actually shape really limiting beliefs in you, and how we're gonna break free from that. Okay, as always, I am sharing from my own personal experience, and I believe that there's 1 or 2 or 1 million people that could relate to my own personal journey. So I'll start by talking about just the power of words in general. Like, something about me is that I love words, and I really believe in the power of words. I love writing, I love yapping, of course. And there's actually a time that I even used to create like wall arts and then put words, because I am a strong believer that even words can pop out of the wall. You know what I mean? Like, you read words on the wall and they can actually speak into your being. So yeah, the power of words. Now, if you've been in a toxic environment or a toxic relationship, you know that there is a lot of criticism that happens, a lot of belittling, a lot of gaslighting, a lot of just being dismissed, which can really end up creating or planting seeds of self-doubt within you. And what you hear repeatedly for a fact becomes your inner voice. Like, if you hear all the time that you're not good enough, that you're stupid, that you're selfish, it becomes now your inner voice. And for me personally, I remember just going through that phase of constantly being belittled, constantly being criticized, and being told I am things that I am not. And the limiting belief that had created in me is that I thought that I was not good enough in general. Just the constant criticism and the constant belittling and the constant feeling like you can never be able to do enough, you can never be able to be enough. And so one of the things that I really had to work on, even after making the decision to walk out of that environment, walk out of that relationship, is really create like a new belief system that my worth is not determined by someone else's words. My worth is not determined by how someone else treats me, that I am enough as I am. And I actually remember starting to practice this while I was still in that situation, while I was still in that relationship. And I remember I had written down like affirmations from, I think, the book of Ephesians. I don't remember exactly where, but I had written affirmations that reminded me who I am in Christ, you know. And those things really, really helped to reshape and redefine who I believed I was, and that I am enough. And to some degree, I believe that those are some of the things that helped me even have the courage to walk away out of that environment. And yeah, I remember actually seeing a quote someone said that the voices around us shape the voices inside of us. And so it's very, very important to be able to surround ourselves with people that speak life into us. As long as you're in an environment and a situation whereby you're constantly being dismissed or being criticized, it's very hard to come out of certain limiting beliefs. You literally have to remove yourself from that environment so that you can start reshaping new beliefs, so that it can start to really stick. As I always say, affirmations are great, affirmations are amazing, and they're a good way to start. But at the end of the day, if what you're speaking you do not believe, then it does not become who you are, you know? So yes, that's the first thing that I'd say is a limiting belief that can come about when you're in a toxic relationship or in a toxic environment. It could even be a work environment or a friendship. Unfortunately, the longer you stay in such environments, in such situations, the longer you're predisposing yourself to actually having these limiting beliefs that might end up really affecting your day-to-day life, might end up affecting your reality in so many ways. And I don't want that for anyone. And so the first step is obviously just affirming yourself and reminding yourself who you are. But when the time comes, it is going to be extremely critical to remove yourself from that environment so that you can be able to fully heal. I always say that you can't really fully heal. You can start the journey of healing, but you can't fully heal in an environment that is hurting you, because you'll keep going back. Like the cycles will just continue happening and happening and happening. So you just end up being stuck in that cycle of abuse, what psychologists actually call the cycle of abuse, because it's a whole cycle, and it is it's such a draining cycle, and it's something that happens when you continue staying in that environment. And yeah, so the first step to breaking free is to start speaking words of affirmation to yourself. Write down the things that you know you are at the core of who you are. Start writing them down and speaking them, and just repeatedly hearing you say them. You could even record like a voice note, and just like once in a while just listen to it, maybe before you sleep or when you wake up in the morning. Listen to it. It starts to reprogram your mind to actually believing those words that you're speaking about, like words of life. Also, you can listen to people that also speak life. Can you listen to podcasts, or anything, or people are around you that speak life to you. Pull them a bit closer, and even communicate that you're in a place where you need to hear a lot of affirmations. You could do that, like if you have safe people around you. The next thing about toxic environments or toxic relationships is the amount of walking on eggshells that someone has to do. Gosh, that was literally, I think, one of the most draining things that I ever went through. And walking on eggshells creates a fear-based kind of thinking, when you have to constantly shrink yourself to avoid conflict, to avoid confrontation, to avoid even punishment. You internalize the belief that being yourself is actually dangerous. Being yourself could actually cause you harm, literally, whether it's emotionally, psychologically, or even physically. The limiting belief that you end up creating is, if I express my needs, if I express how I feel, then I'll be abandoned, or maybe I'll be punished. You literally basically end up living in fear. Like every day, every day you're just afraid of, like, if I say this or if I express this, how will it be welcomed? Walking on eggshells is literally one of the most exhausting things ever. I would not want that on anyone at all. And I remember actually seeing that even manifest after I had left that relationship. And then when I started dating, I'd still be like afraid to fully express myself, because I'm not sure, maybe if disagreeing with someone might mean that I might be punished for it or something like that. And yeah, it was like a really, really bad belief, like a limiting belief. But I remember being very intentional about creating a new belief system that my feelings and my voice actually matters, and that I am safe to be myself. I am safe to express my thoughts. I am safe to express my feelings. I'm safe to express my needs. And yeah, how did I do that? I'm trying to figure out how I did that. I feel a huge part of how that happened is being surrounded by a very strong support system that allowed me to just fully be myself and to express my thoughts and to express my opinions, even if they're not right per se, but just that freedom to be able to express what you think about something and not be punished for it. Even if someone does not agree with you, you have a conversation about it, and it's okay if we agree to disagree. That's how it goes. Yeah, agree to disagree. Because you see, with most toxic environments, it's like you're not allowed to agree to disagree. It's either it's this way or it's that way. Like it's like the what or the highway, my way or the highway. You know what I mean? And so just creating that new belief system that your thoughts and your feelings actually matter, and that you are safe to be yourself. For me, I know I did that through the kind of people that I surrounded myself with. And you could do that too. You could also be intentional about surrounding yourself with people that allow you to be yourself. No judgment. They allow you to process your thoughts, your feelings, to live out your own journey by your own terms and figure things out, Yeah. So that's the second thing. So on to number 3. Another limiting belief that you can develop from being in a toxic environment or a toxic relationship is the belief that you have to constantly prove your value so that you can be appreciated or so that you can be loved. Another ghetto, because something that toxic environments do in general is that they make you feel undervalued. They make you question your worth. When you're surrounded by people who do not see your value, whether it's friendships or relationships or even family, or even like when it comes to work, you might end up starting to believe that you are only worthy if you constantly prove yourself to be worthy. And the reality is, the right people will see your worth without having to do so much, work so hard to prove to them that you are valuable. Over time, what I saw this did to me was that it led to me being those people who over-explain things, being a people pleaser, and also generally tolerating less than I deserved. And that's a limiting belief that could really flow into so many areas of your life, whereby you don't feel deserving of good things. You don't feel like you are valuable enough to be able to get good things. And so you start to think that you always have to work so hard for you to get good things. You know what I mean? And that's such a dangerous limiting belief, because it couldn't be further from the truth. And the belief system that I had to create is that my worth is not determined by anything external. Like it's not based on external validation. I am valuable just as I am. I am valuable just as I am. And that's something that I've had to constantly remind myself. And I can see now how it has become easier over time for me to walk out of environments or walk out of spaces where I can sense there's a need for me to prove myself. Immediately, no. Immediately, I feel like I'm expected to kind of like prove my value or my worth to someone, or to like in an environment. I'm just like, yeah, this is not for me. And I can see how it has also opened me up to become a better receiver. That one is something that I have still worked on, like even just recently, because also I've noticed what that does is that it makes it very easy. It makes it very hard for you to just receive things from people who are just generous. Like if someone just gives you something and you've not done anything, you're just like, ay, unataka? What do you want? It just makes it really hard, because you're programmed to think that you have to work hard to prove your value to someone. So when someone is just being generous, you have questions. I've actually become better at receiving. I've become better at believing that I deserve good things, and so it becomes easier for me to just receive them without any questions in my mind. But that's a very dangerous limiting belief that could happen from being in a toxic environment and from tolerating a toxic relationship. So honey, if you're in such a situation, we need to figure out how you need to come out of it, okay? I'm actually working on something that I believe is going to be a really good resource to help people in such situations, because I also believe in the importance of creating a safe space within yourself even before you make the decision to like now walk out. Like, how can you take care of yourself when you're still in that situation? How can you strengthen your mind? How can you create that belief system within you, so that by the time you make the decision to walk away, then you're not gonna go back, because there are also situations where people have walked away from such situations and then they end up going back, and it just ends up getting worse and worse and worse. Because the thing about people who are abusive in general is, someone actually taught me, one of my mentors taught me, and she's actually she's done psychology, she's a psychologist, and she was telling me that the thing with abusers is that they graduate from one level to another. Technically, the more you forgive an abuser, the more they take it as permission to continue abusing you. So they'll just continue moving from one, graduating, actually she used the word graduating. They graduate from one level of abuse to the next, to the next, to the next. So it just continues getting worse and worse and worse. And so, yeah, we don't want anyone going back into such situations, because it's just not good for you. You cannot be able to reach your full potential when you're in such an environment. That's just the fact. You cannot be able to be the best version of yourself when you're in such an environment. And also, just I tend to think that also staying around with in such environments is also a way of enabling that whole cycle to continue and continue and continue. Yeah, so yeah, it's like you need to cut them off that supply, because you're like supply generally. When it comes to abusive environments and abusive relationships, like you staying there is like you consistently offering supply to continue that cycle of abuse. That's just how I see it. Okay, that's just how I see it. Yeah, and it's not something that I'd want for anyone. I'd want us to be able to break free from those limiting beliefs so that we can take on beliefs that actually push us to being the best version of ourselves. Yeah, okay. The other limiting belief that being in a toxic environment can create is that prioritizing yourself or your well-being means that you're being selfish or even sometimes ungrateful, which is just like, what do you mean? What do you mean? But toxic environments tend to keep you small by making you feel guilty for wanting better for yourself. Like if you want something, if you want more, then you're kind of like guilt tripped to feel like you don't deserve more. Whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's a partner, they make you feel like wanting more for yourself is actually you being selfish and just thinking about yourself alone. And this conditions you to hesitate prioritizing your well-being and even going after the things that you actually want. I remember personally, from my own personal experience, when we had gone to Indonesia, since we had gone there as missionaries, I noticed after like we had settled in that I had too much free time. Like there was just too much time on my hands, like during the week and whatnot. Like when we are not going for a cell group and church, or we're not going to like talk to students and whatnot, I realized I just had too much free time. And naturally, because I think I'm just the kind of person who likes to keep my brain working, so to speak. Like I want to be engaging my brain, doing things that are engaging my brain. I remember I asked, I had a conversation with my ex-partner, and I was telling them about how I want to look for like online jobs, because I had carried my laptop to Indonesia. So I was like, I think I want to start looking for like online jobs so that I can keep myself busy since there's nothing much I'm doing like during the week, guys. And I think I said I'll tell you guys this story in a previous video of how I was convinced that I was not supposed to work, guys. Hey, I was guilt tripped. I was guilt tripped into feeling like I was being selfish by wanting to do something with my time, basically. And I remember being told that, we've come to this land to serve the people of Indonesia. We have not come to serve ourselves. We've not come for ourselves. Like, we are here to pour into the people, not to like pour into ourselves technically, because now it of course, if I was gonna work, I was gonna get money out of it and whatnot. Yeah. And this girl actually believed that story. That was actually very manipulative, but I believed it. I was like, yeah, this is not God's will for me. Because also he said it was not God's will for me, and I actually believed it. Oh, girl. Anyway, tumetoka mbali na tunaenda mbali. I still love that version of Nancy in all her naivety. She was still figuring things out. And yeah, that's one of the ways that I remember being like guilt tripped, just because I wanted to do more with my time. And I even remember a different time. So when that happened, I decided, okay, I'll look for opportunities that are more geared to volunteering. So I remember I started volunteering at an orphanage called Masi Yayasan, where I'd go to teach kids English, which was so fun because they were so intrigued by the fact that Hakuna Matata is my language, like Swahili. So that was like their favorite thing, and that was a fun experience. I really enjoyed it. And guys, I remember actually being almost punished for having that gig. Like, it's like now, because he had sometimes to take me there, and then in Indonesia they mostly use scooters, and where hiyo scooter ilikuwa inaendeshwa ni kama nimekosea, like you know how someone can drive carelessly, intentionally carelessly. And that's actually something that happened a lot, like where I would be punished by this person like being a bit careless when we are like on the road, like anaenda kama anagonga ma potholes, like it's because I'm being punished, so that I can feel scared, because also those toxic environments also thrive a lot with like your fear. They want you to feel afraid, which is so sad. Yeah, but look at me. Look at me. I survived. I'm not even a survivor. I'm thriving. In fact, I am thriving. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for getting me out of that situation. And thank you to Nancy for being brave enough and courageous enough to just be like, this is not for me. Pack my things and go. So I remember, I was gonna say that I remember another time when, so I was keeping myself busy with that, and also I was volunteering at a kindergarten where I'd also just go to help around, which was also fun. Oh my God. So I've just remembered that these kids used to tell me stories. They are telling me stories in their language. At that time, of course, I don't know Indonesian yet very well, but like, yani mtu ananipea story from beginning to the end. I'm just there nodding. I have no idea what they are talking about. And then now the other thing, after some time I started to feel like, I think I want to do something that can give me some money. So there's this friend of mine, such a sweet, lovely human being, Rayana. I met her through a community in Bali that was also a Christian community in Bali. And then I met her and we just connected. I remember the first time we met, we were wearing the same earrings, guys. We were wearing the same earrings. Like, oh my God, we're wearing the same earrings. And our souls just really connected. And then she is in the Airbnb business in Bali. So if you're ever in Bali, she has some really good listings, some really good Airbnbs. And I was like, you know what, I can help with like looking for customers, engaging with them online and whatnot. So I started doing that with her. Guys, do you know there's a time there's a time I was doing some work and I was seated on the bed, and then tell me why I was guilt tripped to believe that I'm not supposed to work on a matrimonial bed. Guys, what is that? Kwanza, what nonsense is that? Let's just begin with that. And then I was told a story about how, this is our matrimonial bed. I shouldn't bring like other things. It's work, like, and it's just work, like talking to people and whatnot. And I remember that. And then now I had to like be working, like I couldn't work on the bed basically, which is just now that I think about it, I'm like, hey, Nancy, na ulikuwa naive. I'm glad you're not right now. Very proud of you that you're not. But toxic environments can really keep you small by making you feel guilty just for wanting better for yourself. And it could also happen in friendships where you decide to distance yourself maybe from a friend who you feel that they constantly drain your energy, or it's not, your efforts are not reciprocated. And then when you start pulling away, maybe they start saying statements like, so now you think you're better than me, or you think you're better than us, you know, or statements like, after everything I've done for you. And it's like, did someone hold a gun to your head and force you to do anything for me? No, you did it willingly, you know what I mean? And yeah, it really causes that limiting belief in you that prioritizing yourself or prioritizing your well-being means you're being selfish or you're being ungrateful. And the new belief system that I had to create, the new belief that I had to create is that taking care of myself is not selfish at all. And I deserve relationships that nourish me, relationships that do not drain me, relationships that want to see me grow and thrive, and relationships that allow me to want better for myself and even cheer me on to actually wanting better for myself and doing better for myself. Yeah, so that's the other thing. Another very common thing that happens in toxic environments or toxic relationships is the theme, let me call it a theme, the theme of isolation. This usually happens whereby someone wants to cut you off or separate you from people that actually love and care about you, people that pour into you, your support system. Isolation in relationships can lead to emotional deprivation. I think that's usually the goal, to deprive you emotionally and then make you fully dependent on them emotionally. And you see, if you're fully dependent, you're dependent on one person emotionally, you're emotionally dependent on them alone, then it gives them a lot of power and control over you. Because when things are bad, where are you gonna go? When they're the ones who are hurting you and you don't have your support system, where are you gonna go? You're going to end up even now isolating yourself and just going through the process of spiraling and being in a very bad headspace, which is how some of these relationships are fueled, for lack of a better word. And it typically starts with a lot of love bombing. It starts with someone making you feel like you're their whole world, and it's because they want to trick you into making them your whole world. You know what I mean? They don't want you to have a sense of independence when it comes to the people that pour into you. They want to create an illusion that they are the only ones that can pour life into you. But then after some time, they start backhanded comments about, you see, it started with you're being love bombed. Someone is making you feel like you're their whole world, and they're kind of tricking you into also making them your whole world. And then after that, they start sometimes making backhanded comments about your support system, about your friends, about your family. Someone might say, even for just an example, from the top of my head, that is, someone might start saying, oh, your friends don't even love you, or your friends don't even care about you, they're usually pretending, such weird comments. Or your family is very controlling, you don't even need them. Or even when you try maybe to go see your loved ones, they'll try to guilt trip you with statements like, so you'd rather be with them than with me. Those weird backhanded comments that slowly just cause you to withdraw yourself from your loved ones, from your support system, from people that actually fuel your soul, from people that pour into you. And then the belief system that you might end up adapting or something like that is that I shouldn't need anyone else other than my partner when I'm in a relationship, you see. And so you end up being too dependent on this person emotionally. And I remember personally from my own journey, the new belief that I had to create is that healthy love and also healthy relationships allow me to maintain strong, supportive connections with my friends and family. Healthy love does not try to take me away from the people that actually love me, from the people that actually care about me. In fact, Healthy love wants to fan that flame. Healthy love, healthy relationships want to see me actually thriving when it comes to my friendships, when it comes to my relationship with my family members, when it comes to my relationship even with my colleagues, people that I work with and who fuel my soul as well. A healthy kind of relationship wants to see you thrive in every way possible, you know. But the limiting belief that you could easily get from being in an abusive relationship or a toxic environment is that you're not allowed to have connections with people. Like, you're just meant to connect with this person alone. There's an aspect of jealousy there. There's an aspect of jealousy there that is also a very common theme actually in it's actually a very common theme as well in toxic relationships. Actually, I'm actually remembering something. I don't know if I said it in one of the videos, but I remember my own personal experience whereby it's like I wasn't even allowed to have new connections with people. It came as a threat. It was like it was seen as a threat that I've connected with a new person and I'm getting to know them and they pour into me. It would instantly be followed by comments that kind of like make me want to withdraw from these friendships, which is so bad, because a loving relationship wants you to be filled in every single way possible. Like, I want to see you being, you know, nourished by your friends, nourished by your family, nourished by your work, by your colleagues, like every single way possible that I can be able to see you being poured into should make me happy and not the other way around. And that's what we don't want that for anyone. We don't want that for anyone. And we want to be in relationships, and we already belong in relationships. Like, I personally, I'm already in relationships with my friends and family that love to see me being poured into and not the other way around. Okay? All of this yapping to say, because I'm sure today's video is going to be a bit long and next time I think it's going to be longer when I'm doing it with my friend. But all of this yapping to say that unhealthy environments, unhealthy relationships, toxic environments can also play a huge role in creating limiting beliefs about ourselves, about what we are capable of, about how far we can go. And it is our responsibility to walk out of such environments so that we can be able to start that process of healing. And what healing does is that it will propel us further into being the best versions of ourselves. And yeah, I think I'll just end by saying, like, a few steps. Of course, I think the first step is just awareness. Get to know what those limiting beliefs are. Identify those false beliefs and where they are coming from. Number 2 is replacing and reframing the narrative and challenging those limiting beliefs with the truth of who you actually are. And the third thing is just being intentional about surrounding yourself with voices that actually speak life to you, voices that actually speak the truth about you, whether it's friends, family, or going to therapy, reading books, or even a podcast. Make sure that you surround yourself with voices that actually speak the truth about who you are, and do not reinforce those limiting beliefs. Okay? This has actually been very fun to make, and I hope we've all learned something. I've personally learned so much even from just preparing this video, and I'm also actually still working on myself and reframing a lot of like limiting beliefs that I've had before, replacing them with the truth. And I'm just excited about evolving and sharing that journey with you as I evolve and create new belief systems, and I believe that we'll get to see how they're impacting my every single day life. So thank you for riding along, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.